The 1% Shift. A story about rewiring your brain one day at a time. Slow, quiet voice. Almost a whisper. There was a man who woke up every morning, and before his feet even touched the floor, he reached for his phone. He didn't know why. He just did. He'd scroll for 20 minutes, sometimes 30, and then he'd start his day already feeling behind, already feeling tired, already feeling like something was missing. His name doesn't matter, because that man or that woman is probably someone you know. Maybe it's you. But here's the thing nobody told him. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't broken. He wasn't weak. His brain had been hijacked, and the hijacker had a name: dopamine. Voice settles into storytelling rhythm. Dopamine is one of the most powerful chemicals in the human brain. And for most of history, it kept us alive. You'd spot a berry bush, dopamine would fire, telling your brain, go get that. You'd find shelter from a storm, dopamine reward. You'd take one step toward your goal, dopamine whisper, keep going. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman describes dopamine not just as the chemical of pleasure, but as the chemical of motivation, of anticipation, of pursuit. It's the engine, not the destination. But then something changed. In the last 20 years, we built entire industries designed to hijack that engine. Social media, slot machine feeds, infinite scroll. Every notification ping, a tiny dopamine hit. Every like, every view, every story, another pull on the lever. And what happens when you pull the lever too many times? When you flood your system with cheap, fast dopamine hits, your baseline drops. Huberman calls this dopamine depletion. When you spike your dopamine artificially and repeatedly, through your phone, through junk food, through constant stimulation, your brain. So now, the ordinary things in life. A conversation, a walk outside, a book, a moment of silence, they feel flat. They feel boring. They feel like nothing. And so you reach for your phone again. This is the trap. And billions of people are caught in it right now. Now here's where the story shifts. Because there's another man I want to tell you about. His name is Dave Brailsford. And in 2003, he became the performance director of the British cycling team, which at the time had won almost nothing in 100 years of competition. Dave didn't show up with a radical overhaul. He showed up with a question. What if we just got 1% better at everything? The bike seat, the pillow riders slept on, the way they washed their hands, the angle of their grip. 1%, 1%, 1%. 5 years later, they dominated the Tour de France. And then they did it again, and again. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this the aggregation of marginal gains. He puts it simply, if you get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. 37 times better. Not from a dramatic transformation, not from willpower, not from some wild, overnight reinvention. From tiny, consistent, almost invisible improvement. But here's the part most people miss. The 1% doesn't just change your skills. It changes your brain. Every time you choose the hard thing, the workout instead of the couch, the book instead of the scroll, the glass of water instead of the soda, your dopamine system does something remarkable. It starts to reward the effort itself. Huberman explains that when we pursue goals through genuine effort and delayed gratification, we rebuild what he calls our dopamine baseline. We make ordinary life feel meaningful again. We stop needing the spike because the pursuit itself becomes the reward. The man who reached for his phone every morning, his brain wasn't broken. It just needed to be retrained. So what does 1% actually look like in a real life? James Clear teaches us that habits live on a loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. Your phone is the cue. The craving is connection, stimulation, escape. The response is scrolling. The reward is a dopamine trickle. To break that loop, you don't need to fight it. You need to redesign it. Clear calls it habit stacking. You attach a new behavior to something you already do. You want to meditate? You don't rely on motivation. You say, after I pour my morning coffee, I will sit for 2 minutes and breathe. That's it. 2 minutes. 1%. And here's what Huberman adds to the science. When you complete a small goal, even a tiny one, and you acknowledge it, your brain releases dopamine. Not a flood. A drip. A healthy drip. He recommends something simple. Don't celebrate the result. Celebrate the effort. The moment you finish the hard thing, not the outcome. Tell yourself, I did that. Let your brain feel it. Let the system reward the behavior. And what Clear adds is equally powerful. Your identity follows your behavior. You don't try to become a reader. You read one page and say, I'm the kind of person who reads. You don't try to become someone who exercises. You do one push-up and say, I'm the kind of person who moves their body. The action comes first. The identity follows. And identity, once formed, becomes its own engine. One page, one push-up, one breath, 1%, day by day, week by week, month by month, until one morning, the man who used to reach for his phone before his feet touched the floor, reaches for his journal instead, and he doesn't even notice he's doing it, because it's just who he is now. Here's what I need you to understand. This story has a villain, and it isn't your phone. It isn't the apps. It isn't your lack of discipline. The villain is the lie that tells you, you have to change everything at once. That lie has buried more potential than laziness ever has. You've probably tried before. You made the big plan, the new routine, the whole transformation, and then life happened. You missed a day, then two, then the whole thing fell apart. And you told yourself you just weren't that kind of person. But you were never the problem. The approach was, because the brain doesn't change in dramatic leaps. It changes in synaptic whispers, in neural pathways slowly, quietly, patiently carved deeper by repetition. Huberman says the brain is neuroplastic. It can literally rewire itself, but only through consistent, incremental signal. Not through bursts of intensity. Through sustained, gentle pressure. Like water, over time. Against stone. 1%. Every day. So here's where I'll leave you. Think about who you want to be 1 year from now. Not the big vision. Not the dream life. Just the person. Calmer. Sharper. More focused. More present. More alive. That person isn't some future version of you that appears after a breakthrough. That person is built quietly, daily, invisibly by the choices you make in the next hour. And the hour after that. Your dopamine system is waiting to be reclaimed. Your habits are waiting to be rebuilt. And your identity is waiting to be chosen. Final pause. 1% better today. That's all it takes. Now go do the one thing.